We're coming to you from Automechanika, South Africa 2011. Now they call it the world's meeting point for the automotive industry, and having taken a walk around the halls this morning, I can certainly see why. The first show, that took place back in 1971 in Frankfurt, Germany, and since then it has expanded into being a global brand. Now Automechanika South Africa, that started in 2009, just 2 years ago, and this year they're expecting a record number of visitors with participants from some 25 countries and over 500 exhibitors. Michael Johannes is the Vice President for Brand Management at Automechanika, based at the head office, of course, at Messe Frankfurt. Michael, thank you very much for joining us here today. Now,
pleasure.
The first show, that took place in 2009 here in South Africa, against the backdrop of what was undoubtedly a global recession.
That's true. We have to organize a show and we need some time beforehand, and we couldn't expect that such a crisis will come over, and it was not the best time to start a show, but we have now the second edition and we are quite confident. We trust into South Africa and into the market, and we see a lot of improvements, and of course we need a kind of tradition for the show, so at least we have to do the show 3 or 4 times that it becomes a tradition, and we are a strong believer in this show.
Now your first show here in South Africa had around 415 exhibitors, which funnily enough was pretty much the same number you had at Frankfurt in 1971. So clearly this year we're looking at around 500 exhibitors, quite a bit of growth in terms of the new show.
Yeah, the show is showing growth, and we have 530 companies from 25 countries, and we are quite proud, and we will continue and we will see already growth in the next edition as well.
Now Michael, obviously the show is based here in Johannesburg in South Africa, but having taken a walk around here this morning, there's a lot of companies from all over the world, quite a few from Turkey, Japan, China, and also Italy and many European countries. So clearly it's not just about South Africa, it is part of the global Automechanika brand.
Yes, but we see other German participations here as well, and other countries like Greece, for example. So we have a variety of countries, and that's good because we brought a lot of international companies, and it's always the best if the local market and the international market comes together. And we would like to see this in the future as well.
Now the last show that you had at Frankfurt, of course, your flagship event, that had over 4,700 exhibitors. We're looking at around about 500 here, but Frankfurt's the one to be seen at, isn't it, Michael?
Well, this is our flagship, of course. It's 4,500 exhibitors. We had an attendance of 155,000 visitors from 181 countries, so that was really very impressive, and this was a new record for Messe Frankfurt as well.
Now Automechanika has grown into a very major global brand, Michael. Now of course, as far as South Africa is concerned, we are very much part of the global supply chain, but how important do you think witnessing all the shows around the world South Africa is in terms of that chain?
First of all, we have 14 shows in 13 countries, and South Africa will play a bigger role in the future for the brand Automechanika. It's really vital for the brand family, and I think we are interested to bring visitors and buyers from the southern region of Africa to South Africa, because the infrastructure is very good indeed, and therefore we are very happy that we do the show and create a hub for the industry here in South Africa.
We had the World Cup here last year, and of course the media centre was here at Expo Centre at Nasrec, Johannesburg, and the organisers put around about 30 million rand into upgrading the facility. So we've seen a lot of new upgrades here and a lot of new themes as far as the show, but one of the major ones is certainly the green theme, with the likes of Honda and component manufacturers showing their wares. Worldwide, Michael, how important do you think this theme is being portrayed in terms of your shows?
I think during the next 5 years we will see major improvements in the industry, and the green industry is something very important, and this will be shown in the future as well.
Now this year's show is again very diverse. It's not just about the components and the manufacturers' presence here. There are trucks, there are cars, there are even some sports cars, and even I've seen a few historic motorcycles. But it is very much a diverse show, isn't it, Michael?
No, that's true, but it reflects the market, you know, and the market is really diversified, and it's in our interest to show the marketplace. And therefore it's important that also the truck industry is here, and I hope we will see even more in the future.
Now, it is only the second Automechanika South Africa, but going forward you must have some big plans. What exactly are you looking for in terms of growth of Automechanika SA?
We would like to bring the visitors from the southern part of Africa to Joburg, to the Automechanika South Africa, and we would like, of course, to increase the show and the attendance, and as I said, it will be the hub for Automechanika in South Africa.
Michael, yes, I keep hearing your accent, so I'm sure I should probably be saying Automechanika instead of Automechanika, but still, it's been a very interesting show, interesting talking to you. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you very much.
Now let's go into the halls and take a look at some of the exciting exhibits.
Taking a look around the exhibition, one of the more eye-catching ones was that of Africa Truck Parts. MD Paul Duprier aims to build new relationships with people in the SADC region and the rest of sub-Saharan Africa.
Well, the challenge is really just all the hard work that goes into putting up the stand. The positivity is that everybody coming here is very positive about our company. The growth rate that we've experienced, I think, speaks for itself as well. We're very heavily focused on advertising and marketing, and we're building 4 brands. Africa Truck Parts is the main holding company. We have Diesel Truck Parts, we have Africa Trailer Components, and we have Truck Body Parts. And this is where we are growing and focusing on.
Africa Truck Parts specialize in spare parts for most of the European heavy-duty vehicles.
9 years ago, I made the decision to go solely into truck spare parts, and from there we've branched into a number of other industries as well, naming trailer parts as well. We are very focused much on quality, which is for the European brands of Volvo, Scania, MAN and Mercedes. This is all aftermarket parts. Some of it is original as well, but we always keep our company to the highest safety standards as possible. Our products and services entail, if you look around on the stand here, we're having brake discs, brake pads. We started out just doing truck body parts, which is the cosmetic side of the industry. We've moved more and more into the mechanical side now as well, but still keeping in line with the main core business of truck body parts, which is entailing back into trailer components as well. We're doing a unique wiring system, which is high standard quality from Hella, and then Genesco mudguards for your trailer industry as well. We supply to a number of different people. We have a wholesale platform where we distribute right through the Southern African region to neighboring states on a wholesale pricing list, as well as to the retail sector, which is your transporters, big logistical companies of that sort.
Cape Town-based CA Components started 10 years ago with the production of cylinder heads for Mercedes-Benz and other OEMs.
From there on, we started exporting. So over the last 10 years, the amount of goods that we produced increased from cylinder heads to all other automotive type of components. So in the last 2 years, we have started developing the gas type of engines, engines that's environmentally friendly, generates electricity and heat, and so far we've exported about 500 of these units to Europe.
The company pioneered this type of gas engine in South Africa, and about 90% of the parts are locally manufactured.
The gas powered started about 3 years ago. We started producing the engine. Basically the engine runs on any type of methane gas, so it can run on landfill, it can run on sewage type of gases, biogases, CNG, LPG. With minor changes in the engine, you can run on all those type of gases. It is used in Europe quite extensively to power buildings, give heat to buildings, and so and so forth. In Africa, we can use these engines in a lot of cases in landfills, where we can use gas that goes to the atmosphere. Methane is a greenhouse gas, so by using that, you can generate electricity to the impoverished and so on. So we're trying to market this to municipalities mostly, to see if they can use it in sewage and landfill application.
They export the engine to America, Europe and the Middle East, but have yet to penetrate the African market.
No, we have a problem as far as the supply of gas is concerned, and the infrastructure and so forth. But the reason that we're at the show at the moment is to try and exhibit our products and see how many of the African countries we can get to export to.
Myberg says South Africa is struggling to keep up in the green race, but with the introduction of products such as CNG buses, the future looks positive.
Seeing that there's gas available now, I think over the next 2 or 3 years there will be a there will be an influx of these type of buses. But it is more expensive, and people need to think green, and they need to think what positive effects it's got on the environment.
From South Africa, we travel to Germany, just a few feet away. Diesel Technik was established in 1972 in Germany. They distribute commercial vehicle parts in over 135 countries, including Sub-Saharan, North and West Africa.
We concentrate only on European applications, which includes Mercedes-Benz, Scania, Volvo, MAN, Renault, and next year we will complete the Big 7. I know in Africa it's called Big 5, but we are looking for the Big 7, and that will be Iveco finally. And once we have this achieved, then Diesel Technik is the only supplier in the aftermarket who can provide the complete range for the 7 European applications.
The effect of the recession in Africa was arguably a pinprick compared to the carnage that occurred in Europe. But Nyedeka says the recession was a blessing for Diesel Technik.
It might sound funny to you, but the recession helped us a lot to increase our business. The recession in 2009 affected a lot of different businesses, especially the transportation. So the transporters and everyone had to cut down on cost. So the question is, how much money is left to spend on spare parts and service? And that is exactly a good chance for a company like Diesel Technik, because we are offering a very high quality spare part at a reasonable price, comparable to the original manufacturer. Our average cost is below 30 to 40%. So that is why we are very interesting for workshops, transporters, and big fleet owners. That's how they can cut costs, because the transportation has to move on. The fuel and petrol, there is no chance to save money or cost. So it's about the service and the spare parts and the repair. And that's why, bottom line, the recession helped us to grow in the following year, which means 2010, by over 35% worldwide. Coming back to the recession, in 2009 we did not lose worldwide any businesses. We had a down drop in the European markets, but that has been fairly compensated in the overseas market.
Like many of the other exhibitors, this is not their first time at Automechanika South Africa.
Africa was a must. There was no doubt and there was no hesitation. And the success of 2009 was the basement and the platform to make a quick decision to be here in this year again. And now the first 2 days have been gone, and especially yesterday we had a lot of international customers. They came from Malawi, from Zimbabwe, from Zambia, even from Mozambique, if I remember correctly. And they are very happy to come to South Africa to this show. I think it's a good idea, and the exhibition board should think about it to make it more so an international African show than a local show, because we feel that the people are much more comfortable to come to South Africa, to Johannesburg, rather than going to Europe, to Frankfurt or other places.
We can be sure to see all these exhibitors and perhaps many more at the next Automechanika South Africa, scheduled for 2013.